when a young woman decided to give her baby away because she couldn't take care of him. She left him something. At the hospital, the doctors took off her clothes so they could do a checkup. They didn't expect to find something. Keep looking to find out what it was. A promise it was a cold night, so the young woman tucked her daughter in with the blanket. They were in front of the orphanage where the mother was going to make a difficult decision with a broken heart. She left her precious daughter on the floor, knocked on the door, and ran away. It was a minute before someone opened the door. The lady gasped at the sight of the baby. She rushed to pick him up, but gently enough not to wake her. Her eyes scanned the area, but no one was there. There was a commotion as the lady carried the baby inside. No time was wasted calling the hospital, and other people started to prepare the crib. The baby woke up in the middle of all the noise. Finally, they arrived at the hospital. The doctors took the baby from the lady. She was wrapped in a blanket and only her little head was peeking out. Then they started to remove the blanket, carefully exposing her little pink feet. Then they removed her clothes to check if she had any wounds or problems. However, this task was interrupted when one of the doctors felt something between the fabric. Inside the baby's clothes was a letter. When they looked at the bottom of the page, they saw that it was from the baby's mother. The letter explained everything. The mother was homeless and did not want to raise her daughter in unstable conditions. She wanted something better for her and could guarantee that in an orphanage her daughter would be better sheltered and fed. When the woman became pregnant, she knew she would have to do something else to change her life, so she has a plan to fix her situation before she gets her daughter back. She ends the letter with a promise to return. After reading the letter out loud, the whole room was silent. Everyone felt a deep pity for the girl who had no mother at the moment, but they also respected the mother. However, the people at the orphanage would keep her firm in her words and wait to see if she would try to return to her daughter's life. Several months passed, and the girl got used to the people who took care of her. Although she had started to talk, she still could not walk. The people at the orphanage loved her. She was popular with the people who wanted to adopt her, but the requirements to do so were very stringent. Plus, there was still some hope that the birth mother would return. But time passed, and the people at the orphanage felt they might be holding her back from an amazing family. As touching as the letter was, there have been many cases of parents who say they want their children back but break that promise. The orphanage decided they can't wait any longer. However, it wasn't long after they agreed to this when a woman came to the orphanage. "I am looking for my daughter." The woman was beautiful. She seemed well educated and well cared for. There was an air of confidence and wealth around her. At first, the people at the orphanage did not know what to do, but she explained herself, "Many months ago, I left my daughter at her door. Unfortunately, I could not take care of her. I left a note saying I would come back and I am here for her." She had kept her promise. After leaving her daughter at the orphanage, the woman decided to reconcile with her family and, with their support, move forward. The last thing she wanted was for her daughter to grow up homeless, so she decided to give her up. The last few months have been productive and now she has a place to live and a stable income. She had always dreamed of being a mother and prayed for a second chance to raise her daughter. The people at the orphanage were touched. They could see and feel how much this woman cared for her daughter. She had passed all the requirements and therefore there was no reason why she could not adopt her. When they brought her daughter to her, the mother cried. She held her daughter in her arms for the first time in a long time. It must have been the connection between a mother and her daughter because the first thing she said when she looked at the woman was, "Mom, wow, did you get emotional too?" And although I'm not sure if this story actually happened because I just found it on the internet, it's pretty amazing how it all unfolded, isn't it? Do you think it's true? Share your opinions in the comments, but stay with me for another touching adoption story, but one that actually happened. An open adoption when Abby was about to take her new daughter home. The girl's birth parents began to have second thoughts about whether they wanted to give their daughter up for adoption. When Abby was younger, she volunteered in orphanages. It was during that period of her life that she felt the call to adoption. Being a mother had always appealed to her, but she wasn't sure when the time was right. The opportunity arose when she received the news that a prospective mother had chosen her to be the mother of her child. Over the next few months, Abby struck up a friendship with a prospective mother and father. Both were young and thought adoption was the best. They approve Abby, and she becomes involved in the pregnancy, going to doctor's appointments. After being introduced as an adoptive mother, the night the mother-to-be gave birth to a beautiful, healthy baby girl, the adoptive mother was by her side. When Abby held Emerson in her arms, she felt a strong surge of joy. Emerson was going to be her daughter. After a few moments with her, Abby handed Emerson over to her birth mother. The next morning, the birth parents confessed to Abby that they were now reconsidering whether they wanted to give their daughter up for adoption. Although Abby was heartbroken, she respected them. Fortunately for Abby, they decided to go ahead with the adoption plan. However, Abby understood the pain they were feeling and did not want to exclude them from Emerson's life. They decided to do an open adoption so that Emerson would be raised by Abby, but her parents would visit her on birthdays. This form of parenting allows the child to have a very strong support system, a single mother. Many people can identify with Abby in that they have always had adoption on their heart. Just like Abby, Mary wanted to be a mother, but the timing of life can be unpredictable. Mary did not expect to consider adoption. While single, Mary's own parents had positive experiences with adoption and parenting, which led them to be wonderful parents. The adoption process caught Mary off guard. It turned out that finding the right match was a long process, requiring a lot of patience. Sometimes a child seemed perfect on paper, but when they met, it was not meant to be. Mary kept trying. One day, she decided to meet a girl whose profile did not catch her eye, but it was the next logical step. Mary was a little discouraged at first, but things started to fall into place when they finally met. The girl was sitting on the floor when she uttered a single word, "Mom." Mary turned to her social worker, who was standing next to her. "She's talking to you," said the social worker. Mary found her son through the adoption process, and from parenting, Mary learned that parenthood is something that you can never be fully prepared for. There are many unpredictable things on this road, but it doesn't matter because things will work out, the more the better. Speaking of unpredictable things, Hannah and Claire wanted to adopt, but their original plan to adopt just one child fizzled out when another opportunity came into their lives. Claire had been looking at profiles of children, but one in particular caught her eye. It was a profile of 3 siblings. Something about them just seemed right. She called Hannah, who was away on business, and they made a video call so Hannah could see the photos of the children. From that moment on, they knew they had found their children. At first, the social worker arranged a way for the couple to view the children from a distance so they could see their personalities and how they interacted with each other. Hannah and Claire were sitting on a bench near the park where the children were playing. Although they were still in the adoption process, the sight of the children laughing left an impression on the couple. After meeting the children and playing with them, it was time to become a family. There were some ups and downs as moving to a new home can take a lot of adjusting to. However, there was good communication between the children and their parents, which allowed them to get through any problems. Hannah and Claire couldn't be happier with their decision and would encourage others to do the same. Hannah said, "We can't wait to get on with the rest of our lives as a family and watch our children grow and flourish." Adoption has the power to bring a lot of happiness into people's lives, not only for the parents but also for the children.